Welcome, everyone, to another installment of Ventana Wildlife Society's Condor Chat. My name is Joe Burnett. I'm Senior Wildlife Biologist and Program Coordinator for the California Condor Recovery Program. I have with me today, we have Darren Gross, another biologist on the Condor program, and Mike Stake, biologist and our non-lead outreach coordinator. So thanks for joining, guys, and thank you joining everyone. It's been an exciting month. July has been a whirlwind. So we're excited to update you on what's been happening. We've had a lot going on. Um, Here's a little quick agenda. Um, at the top there, our Save the Condor Fund is in full swing. That is something we're pushing right now. We're looking at and come December 2025, we're going to lose 40% of our funding for our Condor program. So we have started the Save the Condor Fund to help bridge that gap between that to fill that deficit so we can keep firing on all cylinders in our important work in saving the condors that we've been doing since they're almost 30 years now. And so, yeah, it's really important work, obviously, and we definitely want to keep the momentum going. So that fund has been set up to help us garner more support. We're also sadly going to see off Rachel today. She super stellar intern. We're going to talk more about that, but she is ending her time here. And of course, we'll give you a Big Sur update, and then obviously what's happening with the population right now. Have some sad news about 1019. We're going to update everyone on, and we're going to talk about some genetic results. We received some more genetic results on some of our wild fledges. And of course, we're going to give you the latest on 2025 nesting. And then we have some insane, awesome picks to share of Tim Huntington's. And then, of course, we'll have Q&A. Mike's going to queue up a bunch of questions for us, and hopefully we can answer them all. But again, we're happy to be here. And yeah, let's get this thing going. Yeah, to start off, obviously I didn't, we have on the chat today, me, Mike, and Darren, but definitely want to give a shout out to the other biologists on our crew, Kara Fadden and Danae Mouton, who couldn't be here. They'll probably be back next month. Of course, we want to recognize Rachel Ruggera, our Condor interns. She's been doing incredible work over almost the last year, right, Darren? Yeah, we're up to a year. And of course, we have our new CSUMB student researcher, Caitlin Tunick, and of course, Tim Huntington, and we mentioned he does our database, and he also is an incredible volunteer. And of course, veterinarian Amy Wells, who gives us above and beyond and helps us immensely. And of course, our incredible group of awesome tracking volunteers who are here today, some of them in office. We're meeting with them after this chat. So yeah, takes a village, as they say. So yeah, don't want to go without recognizing. And speaking of taking a village, we're going to see off Rachel. She's been incredible, just an incredible part of the project, just an incredible person. Just been really cool to get to know her and just see that dedication come through and that passion in her work. And she's only got great things in front of her, don't you think, Darren?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was like it's been a lot of reflection this past week for sure on sort of Rachel's journey with us, like, coming in brand new Condor intern and then, to the point where she got these past few months where she was pretty much running things at San Simeon herself. That's a huge deal. And yeah, Rachel's accomplished so much and we're so stoked for what's ahead of her. She starts her graduate program at the University of Montana. Yeah, we're wishing her the best. And yeah, lots of exciting things for Rachel. And yeah, she's always welcome back. Always welcome to come back and run things at San Simeon anytime she wants.
Yeah, it's always bittersweet when they move on, but we are excited for her. I mean, I think she's really got yeah, I can only see positive things in her future. And Montana State, Montana's lucky to have her, but going to be a bit of a change environment wise. Those winters up there are no joke. So she's going to have to pack her long johns. But yeah, it's so big shout out to Rachel, everyone. And again, yeah, we can't do this without folks like Rachel and our intern program. So again, back to that Save the Condors fund, that's what keeps the internships going. That's what keeps us going. So again, we can't speak enough about it. So the cabin rebuild, we are pretty much at the finish line. We're scheduling our final inspection to get our final permit, and then there'll be a lot of little things to do, but all the big heavy lifting will be done. And it's been a long time coming. We're coming up on the 5-year anniversary of the fire that destroyed our original cabin and our release pen. And this is the final piece of that puzzle of the rebuild. So this one's been the most intense. It requires a ton of permitting, and again, it's a very remote spot we're working. So just getting contractors up there and just making this happen just took a little bit longer, and we kind of expected that. So yeah, this is pretty exciting. I know myself and the crew are excited to start using it. But we got a bathroom, the most amazing thing of all. Everyone appreciates a bathroom out in the field. Yeah, and so while I've been spending a lot of time up there, working on the cabin, and you get some visitors, and just not always condors, and it's been a really cool month. In that, yeah, of course, this time of year we have the big rattlesnakes come out, and then of course I had a young bobcat coming and wandering through camp, and then a random one on the right, little brown bat, my Otis there, was hanging out on the screen door and surprised me. I was eye level. I walked out. I was like, "Oh, hey!" was there to greet me. But yeah, it's one of the really amazing parts of the Condor Sanctuary is obviously it's a Condor Sanctuary, but it's also a sanctuary to a lot of amazing wildlife, and it's always a privilege to see some of these other species that share it with the condors. So it's always nice to share some of the photos. And July was just I've spent 30 Julys up there in the sanctuary, and I think this is one of the cooler ones I can remember, temp wise. Usually it's 80s, 90s. It's been 60s, 70s, and just which has been ideal for rebuilding the cabin, honestly. I was not looking forward to July on the rebuild front for being in a hot cabin, but it's been really, we've had a lot of fog. Like this shot right here, I was leaving one day and the fog was coming in, the light was just right, just this spectacular view of a condor, just taking it all in. And yeah, it's kind of a magical moment. You get these quite a bit up there. So this was kind of cool and to share. And then of course, just the mind blowing sunsets just continue up there. And it's one of the treats we get up there to see the sun setting over the ocean with the fog coming in. So always like to share some of our sunset photos for these condor chats to kind of put you in the zone of of condor land. This is what the condors look at every night, so pretty darn cool. Another exciting news, we'll have a second cam going, or no, our third cam going up at the Big Sur Sanctuary. Currently, we have the roost tree cam and the feed cam. Yeah, looks at the release area. This will be another perspective. It'll give us additional views of the actual pen, and then it will give us views, different angles of the roost tree and the feeding area and bathing areas they use. So those who are watching the cams regularly, they're going to really love this cam. And it's also going to give us biologists a really good look at the birds when they are at the release pen, which is really important. We can, like the shot down here on the right of 881, and you can see clearly her radio tag on her wing. For us looking at her, sometimes the bird's transmitters have issues, and we can look and say, "Oh, look, the antenna's broken," and if she's sick, we can really get a good look at her if she's suffering from lead poisoning or has an injury. So we think this cam is going to really be an incredible addition to our fleet of cameras. And again, big thanks to explore.org. They basically supply us the cams and the cam feed, and we couldn't do it without them. And so yeah, that'd be cool to add this to the fleet of cams. And then this next upcoming nest season, we're really gonna try to get a nest cam or two going So yeah, lots of fun cam stuff in the future, but we're keep an eye out on social media. We'll post when this goes live next week or this week. No, it's next week. I'm sorry. This will go live next week, possibly Monday or Tuesday. Explorer's going to let us know. So the population, yeah, Darren can jump in with me here. We have 108 with an asterisk there. And Darren, remind me of the asterisk.
Yeah, so last month we also reported that we had 108 birds. We have had a death since then, Condor 1019 Jane. So in theory, the number would be 107, but we also reported last month that Condor 1027, who was a Pinnacles managed bird and has been spending over the last year in Southern California. The Pinnacles had transitioned her management over to Southern California. They've decided since then to co-manage, so she is 1027 is technically still back in the Central California flock now. So she's counted as both a Southern California flock bird and a Central California flock bird at the moment. So we are at 108 with 1027 being still counted in Central California and with 1019 Jane's death, which we'll talk about here shortly.
Yeah, and this number doesn't include the 2025 pre-fledged chicks that are all still in the nest right now. The five that we got three on the coast, two inland at Pinnacles, and we're going to talk more about that. Um, yeah, only yeah. In terms of condor deaths, we did add one. We're going to get into that. We still haven't. Last year we had 5 deaths total. Right now we're sitting at 4 with the addition of Jane, and we still have the 5 missing in the wild. So all in all, things are looking. Ideally you don't want to lose any condors, but in terms of our where the pattern that we've seen over the last few years, and considering some of the bad years where we've lost almost up to 20 birds, that this is definitely this is on the lower side, which is good. But yeah, always hard to lose any bird. Yeah, 1019 and Heartbreaker bird just hitting her prime. Was looking like she might pair up next year. Just always just a punch in the gut. And Darren was there firsthand. I'll let him take it from here, but he was there to recover this bird out in the field, which is always even more heartbreaking. But she was still alive, right, Darren, when you found her?
Yeah, she was still alive, but yeah, clearly like not doing well. I mean, was very weak. I mean, I was able I and another Pinnacles biologist, Caitlin Lopez. Huge shout out to her and the Pinnacles crew because they're the ones who first noticed something was off with 1019 and let us know. Really got the ball rolling here. But yeah, me and Caitlin went out to get a look at 1019. She was on a private property, so we were able to get access and go out there to check on her. But yeah, we found her on the ground, which is never a good sign. Condors really shouldn't be on the ground unless they're feeding or there's something else that's attracting them there. And she was just hanging out there. But yeah, we approached her and she tried to fly away. She couldn't, and even like walking away was clearly a struggle for her. So we were able to pick her up off the ground, and I took her to Oakland Zoo. The vets were all ready to take her, and then yeah, huge shout out to Oakland Zoo too. I know we'll talk more about what they did to try to treat her after we brought her in. But yeah, they were ready to take her, and yeah, we did some initial checks on her. They gave her a physical. We drew blood to test what her blood lead level was, and it was 720 micrograms per deciliter, which is extremely high.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would kill a human many times over. Um, and then yeah, Oakland really we they took over from there and just yeah they did all they could to treat her. Yeah, like gave her surgery to help feed her, make sure she was getting nutrients still, in case there was any organ shutdowns due to the lead poisoning. And also did another surgery to try to remove anything that was still stuck in her GI tract. But yeah, she was yeah it was heartbreaking. I mean, we tried so much. I mean, every death is heartbreaking, but with this one, the effort was so obvious. I mean, the Oakland Zoo vets worked nonstop to try to treat her and get her better, and she just couldn't pull through. So yeah, really tough loss. But yeah, huge thanks again to the Pinnacles crew for helping us out here and notifying us about it. And then yeah, Oakland Zoo vets can't thank them enough. They did all they could. Um,
Yeah, they literally threw the kitchen sink at this bird, tried everything. They reached out to folks in Arizona who have dealt with lots of lead poisoning there with the Arizona flock. And then they reached out to LA Zoo, and they actually flew up a surgeon from LA that works with LA Zoo up for this second surgery to try to figure out what was actually, if she still had lead inside. And I mean, on the bottom right photo, they're doing a CT scan. I mean, they have state of the art stuff, and they did everything they could, which for us as biologists is just incredible because that's something we couldn't do. So they gave her the best shot. And again, lead is that ravaging. It it's hard to, when Darren found that bird in that state, that physical state, she had lost use of her legs. And by the time she got to the zoo, she completely lost use. So that was a neurological impact of lead poisoning. So unfortunately, when we have birds in that state, it's the odds of getting them back are really, really tough. And that's the hardest part. You can't really think of a more horrible way to go than lead. It's a really slow, sad death. So big shout out to Oakland.
Hey Joe, can I
Darren,
jump in?
big
Can I
shout out
jump
to
in with a
Darren.
question about this particular event? And Darren, you found the bird, I guess, on a private property, and there's a question: do we know if the landowner uses lead-free ammunition? What was your communication like with the landowner? And maybe do we know for sure where that bird may have picked up the lead?
Yeah, that's a great question. We don't know for sure at this time, like where the bird may have picked up the lead. I mean, we can go back through GPS. This bird did have a GPS transmitter, so we can go back through her data from that transmitter to see and kind of identify like areas where she was spending time on the ground and likely feeding with other condors, and to kind of narrow it down. I mean, really, my communication with this landowner was great. I mean, I only got in touch with them the morning of July 19th when me and Caitlin picked up 1019 on the property. So, I mean, got in touch with them in the morning, and within a few hours, I had access to the property and was able to go check on 1019. So, I mean, really incredible interaction, like great communication with this person and yeah, they were curious about 1019 or situation, curious about the condors in general. So I had some great conversations with them about that, and yeah, we're also expressed interest in our non-lead ammunition program. So yeah, overall, I mean, a really great interaction, and yeah, I'm not gonna don't want to share any private details, but yeah, I just want to shout them out too here for helping us out tremendously. We wouldn't have been able to do anything for 1019 without that access.
Yeah, that's very good, and it's something that we will follow up with, and we appreciate the private landowner response, and also do stress that even if a bird is found on a private property exposed to lead, it doesn't necessarily mean it picked up the lead on that property, and so
No, not at all.
yeah, yeah.
Condors can cover 100 miles in a day, no problem. They can feed in a lot of different places. So yeah, that's probably one of the more challenging parts of the non-lead outreach, right, Mike? I mean, just
It
we
it
just
is, but we have the tools, as Darren mentioned, to be
yeah,
able to kind of uh, piece together a bird's path and figure out where that outreach is needed most.
yep. So RIP 1019. She lives on in the flock. She had an impact on a lot of other birds, and she'll be missed for sure. But her legacy lives on through the flock. All right, genetic results.
Yeah, so last month we had shared some genetic results from blood samples we had sent out to just confirm parentage and also sex for some of these 2024 fledglings that we had trapped for the first time and given their tags and transmitters for the first time. And so, yeah, this was the first time we had them in hand. We're able to collect this sort of information. So to share more of those results with you all, Condor 1309, who's named Wasak Utis, which is a Rumson Aloni for Condor 2, because we previously had a condor named Wasak who unfortunately passed away. But Wasak Utis, we did confirm that that bird's parents are 626 and 729, both of whom unfortunately have passed at this time. But that's what we suspected, so it was nice to get that confirmation. And we also confirmed that Wasak Utis is a female, which we're always stoked on. Always stoked to get more females in the flock. And then yeah, we
Yeah,
had a couple other.
I
Oh, sorry.
love
Go ahead.
Tim's. Oh, sorry, I love Tim's photo there because we identified this bird before it was tagged by that feather sticking out on the right wing there in his photo, the Alula feather sticking out, and it was like kind of a telltale signature compared to the other untags around. So that was a little flashback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a nice little indicator for us. But yeah, on the next slide, we have a couple more results that I'll share with y'all. So 1317 named Inust, which is Rumson Aloni for Traveler. Their parents are 209 and 881, again, as we suspected. So it was good to get that confirmed. And also another female in the flock. So yeah, stoked to have two more confirmed females, and really three with this next one I'll share. So yeah, 1309, 1317, they're fledglings from last year, 2024. 1373 is actually a chick that is managed by the Pinnacles Condor crew and is still in a nest over there at the over near the park. And the Pinnacles crew is able to do nest checks on this chick, go in and handle it, and see how it's doing in person. And so they were able to get a blood sample when they did that, and also confirm that parentage for this chick is 868 and 931, who are doing a wonderful job caring for them. And then again, another female, confirmed that we have another female in this chick, and so that's one of the 2025 chicks that we know the sex and parentage for at this time.
Yeah, and that's nice. Darren mentioned the females because we're a little skewed on the population towards males, and we've been hoping to get a little get that skew a little more balanced, the male and female, a little more 50-50, but right now it's closer to 60-40. So this is going to help for sure. When we do the year end numbers, I think we'll be closer to that 50-50 split.
Yeah, that was a great transition into our to an update on our nesting for this year. So yeah, at this point we have 5 total nests that are still active, all of them with chicks. So I'll start with the chicks that and the nests that we manage here at VWS. So we have 1371 whose parents are 219 and 538. This pair is established. They've raised another chick before, 1229 Penny. But yeah, 1371 hatched April 11th, and we're expecting them to fledge October 8th. This is a chick. We'll show some more photos and video of this chick coming up. But yeah, this is a nest and a chick we're able to see in person and do nest checks on. And us and the Pinnacles National Park crew are able to alternate weeks where we go and watch this chick and see how they're doing. And yeah, they're doing great. So yeah, looking forward to sharing more about 1371 with you all here coming up. We'll also have some stuff to share on 1381. We don't have a visual of this chick yet, but this is the chick that 168 is now caring for solo and incubated on his own for over 20 days when they're still in the egg. But yeah, 1381 hatched April 16th, fledged October 13th. And then, yeah, just as a reminder, 168 is taking care of this chick now because the mother in this pair, 970, was a Pinnacles National Park managed bird who died at the end of March. And so 168 has been maintaining the nest and continuing things on his own since then. Yeah, last chick for us that we're managing is 1372. This nest is inaccessible, so we don't have any visuals really of the nest or the chick. But yeah, they hatched April 12th, expected to fledge October 9th, and their parents are 574 and 1006. So yeah, for 574, he's nested before, had chicks before, but this is 1006's first nest and chick. So yeah, we're stoked for her and for this pair and to see 1372 once they fledge and once we can see them. Some updates on the 2 Pinnacles National Park nests that are still active. So there's chick 1373, whose parents are 931 and 868. And they actually nested last year as well. Both of the these pinnacles pairs, 931 and 868 and 569 and 589, both nested last year and are nesting in consecutive years. But yeah, 1373 hatched April 26th, expected to fledge October 23rd. And then 1358, it was 569 and 589's chick. They hatched May 2nd, and they're expected to fledge October 29th. And the Pinnacles crew is able to monitor 1373 both in person, and they also have a nest cam that they're able to check on and get electronic views of this chick, see how it's doing that way. And 1358, I don't think they can see and do nest checks in person, but again, they have a camera where they're able to remotely check on the chick and get views that way. We did have another failure for one of the Pinnacles National Park managed nests. That's 330 and 317. They did try nesting, but Pinnacles crew, they were never able to confirm a hatch for their egg. Since the expected hatch date, just haven't seen enough signs to conclude that they are still nesting. But for them too, this would have been this wasn't a consecutive nest attempt. They also had nested last year. So yeah, Pinnacles nests are really, really doing their best to bring the condor population back here in Central California.
Yeah, that consecutive nesting,
pretty
incredible. Yeah, we don't see that as much on the coast. Must be the water over there or something.
Yeah, not yet. I'm hoping, but yeah, we'll see. Yeah, so a little more on 1371, who is 219 puff and 538 chick. Yeah, we're really starting to get some good views of this chick now as they've kind of left their cavity a little bit. There's a nice ledge for them to, excuse me, to walk in, sort of explore. And when they get, this is like my favorite chick age because they have these spurts of activity and where they just run around. It's very adorable. And the parents are coming and still checking on them, still feeding them. But the chick is getting so rambunctious that the parents are also like they come in and feed, and sometimes they need a break and just leave after feeding. But yeah, the Danae and Meredith and Caitlin, Rachel, I know folks have really been able to from our crew have really been able to get some good views, and they've always reported back seeing some awesome things.
Yeah, this is a cool spot. Big Sur is known for its big redwoods, but we also have some incredible cliff habitat just inland from the coast, kind of in the middle of the coast range. This area is just spectacular. And this nest, the pothole caves, like just around where this cave is, the options for the condors, there's probably like 20 different cave options just on this formation. So it's pretty cool. It'd be fun to watch when the chick comes time to fledge and watch it kind of pop around and check out all these other spots. But just a good example of the different options condors have out in the wild when they nest, and they're always high up off the ground, but it could be a cliff or a redwood. So this one's in a really, really cool place. We would pan out, but obviously we like to protect the nest sites. Might give it away if we panned out, but it's an amazing spot. Oh, and Meredith Beta, also, she was just out there with the crew, and she got some incredible footage of right 219, right, coming into feed, and just some of the chick antics, having fun. So I'm going to share this video real quick here. Here we go. I don't believe it has sound.
No, but this is, it's nice to be able to share this and just see.
Feeding's is probably the wildest thing to see.
Mm-hmm.
They regurgitate the food for the chick. This is funny right here. The chick gets pretty excited. Look at the fuzzy little legs.
Yeah.
Well, but look at those flight feathers coming in. The tail looking good.
Mm-hmm.
The tail's about halfway in, maybe a third of the way in. The flight feathers are more than half. Look at that shot. Wow.
Oh, nice.
There you go. That's what it's all about. Very cool. Thank you, Meredith, for that. Another amazing video.
Yeah. Huge shout out to Meredith for always getting us these great clips. Yeah, okay. So yeah, to give you guys an update on 1381, 168 and 970's chick. So again, we haven't seen this chick yet, but from 168's patterns and from following him, it's clear he's still caring for a chick. This nest is still active. And yeah, this gives you a good idea of maybe why we haven't seen this chick yet. It's this is the nest tree. And there's a cavity that there's like I think Joe added a nice arrow there to indicate the where we can see just a little bit of the cavity at the top of the tree. I mean, really is we're based on how 168 enters the nest. We're pretty. It's a cavity at the top of the tree, but when he goes in, he just kind of jumps down into it and then completely disappears. So we don't see anything beyond that. But again, great indication that he's caring for his chick. And that this chick is doing well, still alive and doing well, and yeah, he's doing an incredible job coming in and giving this chick food while also caring for himself. So yeah, pretty special. Can't really emphasize how special this is and how much he's done to just really incredible what he's done to keep his nest and this chick alive.
Yeah,
And
he's
we're
our
stoked for when
oldest.
we can see the chick.
Yeah, he's our oldest condor in our flock.
Mhm.
So he's representing for sure. Carrying that load. That's a big load to carry to feed a chick on your own.
Yeah. Yeah, and just to explain, sorry, I didn't explain the photos very well, but on the left here, that's 168 coming in to land at the nest, and then in this photo on the right here, where the arrow is kind of pointing at the cavity, 168's perched at the top there, above where we suspect the cavity is, and so from there, he just kind of hops down into the tree, and we lose sight of him.
Yeah, he
But
just
yeah,
disappears, honestly.
yeah. Mm. Yeah, you can't do it. Once when he's in the cavity, you cannot see a thing. So for this chick, and once that chick's big enough to leave the cavity and hop around the perches, it won't be fledged yet, but as it gets older, it will start exploring outside of the cavity on this tree. And so once it does that, we'll be able to get our first views of it. And yeah, we'll definitely be sharing those with you all.
Yeah, and what this looks like is a lot of condor nests we've seen in redwoods where it's almost probably shaped like a stovepipe at the top, and that's being masked by all those really thick branches that have grown in, which kind of happens after a fire. You get these real bushy branches that grow in, and they created perfect camouflage. So he can drop in from the top, but we don't know how far down in that stovepipe, that top of the redwood there, it goes down. And based on how he goes in, it goes down pretty far. Like he has to kind of like his wings are up and he slides down in. But yeah, it just shows to show how determined they are to keep their nest hidden. And some birds nest, and it's very for us very visible. Not very camouflaged. And then you got to the other extreme to a nest like this, where you get a bird like Beak Boy 168 who just goes way out of his way to really hide it.
Mm-hmm.
All
All
right,
right.
now
So
we have the Tim's picks, which are
yeah,
always awesome.
yeah. So yeah, just can never shout out Tim enough and the work he does to help us out. All he's done for us with Keiko Central, our database, and then before that, and still doing all the tracking that he's been doing for years at this point, and all the Condor photos, all the amazing Condor photos. So figured he had a really good month for Condor
Yeah, he
photos.
did.
So we figured we would share those here. And some of the birds he got too are just like some of the photos are special, just like they're all special. But some of the birds he got are birds we don't see very often on the coast. So starting with 317, who is one of the Pinnacles managed birds. She was nesting. She was one of the nests I mentioned, or the nest I mentioned that just failed over there. Um, she was the female in that nest, and so she's been coming over to the coast more recently since the Pinnacles had called her nest failed, and so Tim was able to get her in this tree on one of his hikes. She's kind of been exploring things out here, and yeah, we don't see her very often, so this was really cool for Tim to get this shot of her in a redwood. Really awesome.
Yeah, and she's the oldest female in the Pinnacles flock, and she was the first to nest over there when the birds first started nesting. So she's a legendary bird. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
anytime we get her on the coast, it's great. And she did actually nest on the coast. Everyone remembers Traveler. Her and Traveler raised a chick together. Trying to remember the bird, the chick they raised. Give it a second, but yeah. So she's bounced around. She's definitely paired up with quite a few different birds. But again, the main reason is her mate usually dies. Typically, like we keep talking about, they lose their mates to lead poisoning. They have to move on and repair. And she's like similar to 171. She's kind of had to adjust, and she's done really well as a result. But so right now she's with the legendary male over at their oldest male ever at Pinnacles. So yeah, they're kind of a great pair for sure.
All right. So yeah, our next photo here that Tim got was 1315 Suman. Suman is Rumson Aloni for redwood because this chick was in a nested of or hatched out of a redwood tree, fledged from a redwood tree. One that we could see and get good views of. But yeah, this Tim got this awesome photo of Suman again on one of his hikes in a not in the nest tree, but another redwood that he passed while he was hiking. And yeah, it looks like this bird is getting some sun. Maybe it just finished or is just starting to get some sun on its wings there, warm up a bit. But yeah, really great shot of Suman with the after they've been tagged. So yeah.
Yeah, a great example of the juvenile condor plumage.
Mhm.
The darker head people always ask, "Did I see a condor? It didn't have a red head." And it's like, oh no, when they're young, they don't attain that beautiful red head they get until they're about 4 or 5. And so this is classic. And if you could see the other side of the wings, they'd be a little darker. The white triangles that condors typically have are a little duller. They just have they're a little lighter gray, and they don't get real white again until they get that adult plumage at around. So they start around 4 or 5 years old. Oh, I love this shot.
Yeah, yeah. This is great. And also I think Tim, man, I don't know how he gets these shots
I
sometimes.
don't either.
He's
It's unbelievable.
yeah, this is so good. But yeah, 1318 Sato Isuin, which means Sato's child, because 1318 is the chick of 962, who is Sato. And so yeah, Tim got this great photo and of 1318 again while just hiking on the coast as he's doing. And yeah, he does have tracking gear, so he is able to track where these birds are. But still, that he can gets these views when just by going out there is pretty incredible. But yeah, I don't know. He's looking at this bird, and this bird, like looking back at him. Maybe if that bird had a camera, would be taking a photo of him back. But yeah, just a great shot of 1318 looking back and kind of too. I mean, condors are curious. They're always taking in their surroundings and learning. And so yeah, maybe Sato Isuin was doing that with Tim, trying to figure something out about him.
Yeah, that's the curiosity look that we talk about with young, especially with young birds exploring their environment. They're cautious, but they're also that curiosity, and it helps them decide to go down on feed on a carcass that might be kind of in a really precarious spot. But that inquisitive look, I mean, it just speaks intelligence to me, the way that bird's looking at him. It's pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Another amazing shot.
Yeah, this shot's crazy. Yeah, this is another 574 is a coastal bird, but he spends a lot of his time south of where the highway closure is right now, so we don't get to see him as much. So yeah, I'm really glad Tim got this look at 574 and yeah, got this crazy photo of him soaring like just outside the fog with the cliffs in the background. And if you look closely too at the wing feathers and at the tail, you can see like growing feathers coming in. There's some feathers that are shorter at the ends there. That's where 574 has lost some older feathers and is growing new ones in. Those shorter feathers are new feathers, and the outer feathers on the tail there too are a little shorter, and it looks like those are growing in as well. So yeah, I mean, all around a stunning shot. Really glad that Tim could get this photo of Nomad.
He's got RP8 coming in, RP5.
Yeah, right. Yep.
L6 down there.
Yeah, I'll have to see if Tim added that in his report.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
Yeah, and then another awesome photo here, 892 Vincent. who is actually 574 Nomads. This is one of Nomad's chicks from years ago. But now, yeah, Vincent is breeding age now. Did attempt to nest with 646 Kodama this past year. They did fail, but they're still hanging around that nesting territory. Nesting territory. We expect they'll try to nest again. But yeah, really great shot of Vincent here as he's again just soaring on the coast.
Yeah, look at the detail on the face, like the wrinkle.
Yeah.
You can see the striations going down its face, and yeah, it's unbelievable.
Hmm. Yeah, and then there's several shots here of 646 Kodama, who's just so photogenic,
Yeah,
and Tim is very familiar with. Um, yeah, Tim, these are great photos of Kodama. So, I mean, kind of again speaking to the curiosity, like in that last photo was like looking back at Tim a bit, and yeah, you kind of like what you mentioned, Joe, about sort of seeing the intelligence and how they're looking in their eyes and everything, and like I feel like that with Kodama in this photo. Um, and then, in the next photo that you pulled up, they're also
got a
taking the
feather
time
in her
to,
eye.
yeah, that happens pretty frequently. So, yeah, they're pretty adept at using their feet to get feathers and other stuff off their face and out of their eyes. And yeah, Tim just captured the perfect moment of Kodama doing that here.
Ah,
And then, of course, yeah, just great soaring shot here. It's Kodama passes Tim, like soaring right above the ocean. And yeah, again, looking right back at him. Um, yeah,
yeah,
so
it's
good.
just perfect. Everything
Yeah.
about it's just perfect.
Hmm.
Just those
Hmm.
clean lines, just yeah, when people ask like what's it like to see a condor fly, I think that photo captures it. It's just so clean, it's so perfect. You're like, this is the way it's meant to be. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like this
Hmm.
animal adapted perfectly to its environment and is in perfect, harmony with it. It's just pretty unbelievable. So good
Yeah.
job, Tim. You capture the magic, buddy.
Hmm.
Picture tells 1,000 words or whatever. His definitely do.
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then just a close up uh, there again as Kodama's soaring by. And yeah, we're talking about the face details. Like you can really see it on Kodama here, like the wrinkles behind her head. She's got her head in, and yeah, just the detail, the feathers on the face, where there are still some there on like the brow and past her eyes, and yeah, I mean, even seeing the nares here and all the details are pretty crazy. Even all the individual feathers, like on her, it's just crazy to see this detail. Yeah.
Yeah, and super detail of her solar powered Merlin transmitter.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Can see the
You can do a
little.
transmitter inspection with this photo.
Yes,
We do
exactly.
a lot of that with Tim's photos. We're like, oh, what's the transmitter doing?
Hmm.
Looking.
Hmm.
Sometimes we'll see the panels messed up or the antennas missing. We're like, oh, that's why we're not picking up her signal. So
Yeah, exactly.
his photos
Exactly.
are really, and he does the same thing when he takes these photos. He picks them apart like we do. But
Hmm.
yeah, you can see. I mean, Tim's photos. If there's something going on with the bird, his photos usually capture it. Like I know when 470 got real sick, Fuego got real sick and from lead, and we were using his photos kind of because he wouldn't let us catch him. 470 was just very elusive, and Tim would get photos of him periodically. And we were assessing his health. We could see the coloration of his face and how gone he was. It was really incredible. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, can't get enough of Tim's photos.
No, yeah, huge shout out, Tim. We think we say that every chat, but yeah,
I
every time we mean it, because yeah, couldn't do this without him and all he's done for VWS and the Condors here. So yeah, big thank you, Tim.
All right, Mike. Question time. How we looking? We got some.
Yeah, yeah, thanks, guys. Um, there are some comments about Save the Condor Fund, and I'm not sure this panel has the latest figures on that, but I appreciate the questions. I think that is a good idea
Let's
to
do it next time.
provide you with some feedback. I was talking with Jane earlier, and she just mentioned that people have been so generous, and the donations are coming in, and the Save the Condor Fund is increasing. It's really going well, but I don't have those figures. This is something that Kelly would really appreciate answering. He's just coming back from his vacation. He couldn't be with us today, but we'll keep it in mind, and we'll have some answers for you forthcoming. I kind of like seeing those little temperature gauges, and to see how the fundraising is.
Yeah, we could probably put it on the website too. That's something we could add.
Yeah, I'd kind of like to see that. And
Me too.
I know Kelly's really been working hard on fundraising, and so I think it's something that we'd love to share when we have that information. Uh, Joe, there's a question about lead poisoning. Have there been fewer lead deaths among condors since we started handing out free non-lead ammunition in 2012? Basically, how well am I doing here in my job?
Woo, that's a tough one. No, well, I would say it's fluctuated. There have been years where it's been really low, but then we'll get a really bad year. I mean, there's just so many other factors that play into it outside of the work we're doing that you're doing on a societal level and market level, like availability issues. So I think in general, I think we're going in the right direction. I mean, you can just look at this year, the last couple years, we've had lead poisoning deaths, but not near the numbers we've had in the previous five. But we're also always very cautious before we get too far ahead of ourselves. But overall, I would say the trend is definitely going down, but it's not as strong as we want, of course. But again, I think that lends itself to these other factors that we don't really have control over. The market stuff with availability is, which Mike, you could explain better than anyone, that kind of limits our ability to do certain calibers and certain, it makes it a little tricky.
I would describe the lead poisoning as episodic,
Mhm.
where we are coasting along, just as you say, and then all of a sudden we get a surge that we're just really maybe not expecting. And it, I think, goes to show that these are social birds when they're feeding. And if there is a bad carcass out there, or if there's a landowner shooting ground squirrels with lead ammunition, it could poison many bird or expose many birds at once to lead poisoning. So it really is a difficult issue to really solve completely. But as you say, I think we're heading in the right direction. I think the hunters are doing the right thing. But availability for some of the smaller calibers, for those who are shooting small non-game mammals, I think availability of non-lead ammunition has been very limited and sporadic, and that's been a big challenge for us. Um, Joe, a question from Linda. Uh, how's the fireproof attributes of the cabin? Is it sort of designed to maybe withstand a wildfire in the future?
Oh yeah, that was the main focus when we built the release pen and the cabin. We geared all the construction and the design to withstand fire. So both facilities are basically, I always tell folks, full metal jacket. They have they have full metal siding all the way around. So the new cabin also has interior sprinklers that will go on. That was, they're also required by the county of Monterey, but and then we will add sprinklers on the exterior. But the good thing is, if the fire burned right up to the cabin, it's only going to hit metal at this point. So there are still some parts that we need to seal up, but for right now, 95% of the structure and 100% of the release pen structure, which you can see on our live streaming cam, that structure is 100% water fireproof, and it still could burn. Fires find ways in. They can blow through windows, and there's definitely nothing's 100% a fire unless it's built of stone, pure stone or something. But yeah, there's as that was the number one focus of our rebuilding. We obviously don't want to have to do this again, and we know wildfires aren't going anywhere, so we built it to last and just hope that we don't get some maybe major catastrophic wildfire, like a firestorm type wildfire that they just burn everything. They'll burn metal, everything. So Um, Similar to kind of what happened in the Grand Canyon. You know, they just had that fire burn through in the national park and some of those historic structures. So some of these fires just are just beasts. You just can't much you can do. But we have built that was, you know, that was the benefit of fun having the funds we did, thanks to everyone that supports us and responded and donated to help us rebuild. It allowed us to do that. So big, it wouldn't be possible without you guys, without being able to do these fireproofing measures, because it did add some cost, but it was worth
Right,
it.
right. Obviously, that has to be the main concern. There's a lot of interest in condor nesting out there, and Phyllis wants to know about the spacing of nests. Is there a polite distance that condors might keep from another's nest? What about territoriality? Um, and a question that comes to my mind in addition to that is, are we at the carrying capacity for these nests? Is there room for more to move in? Can you speak, either one of you, about sort of the spacing of nests? How far do you have to hike to reach a nest?
Go for it, Dan.
Yeah. Yeah, great questions on condor nesting there. I mean, how far we need to hike, just to start with that last one, can really depend. I mean, we also have we try to get to every nest. We like every new nesting location, we always try to hike to, but some are just like either too far or there's too rugged, too off trail. Some we can't get to. But yeah, I mean, the nests that we'll hike to, I mean, we'll hike. Some nests are really close. I mean, we can just drive out to a property and there's like a short hike or so from there to check out the nest. Some are like a few miles away, but most of our nests are that we monitor at least are pretty accessible. Most of them are short hikes or within you can drive pretty much right up to the nest. Yeah, I mean, in terms of how close like condor nests or condors will nest to each other, they are territorial. They don't defend a massive territory. It kind of is just their immediate nesting territory that they'll defend. But in general, like on the coast, where we have some nests, like we don't really get nests in the same like general area too often. And it's like there are cases where we'll have like two nests that might be in the same canyon, but they're still pretty far apart. Like one nest might be at the top of a canyon and another at the bottom. But and that's enough for those pairs. That's enough distance where they're not really getting in each other's way or defending their nests too aggressively against each other. It can depend on the it can depend on the bird too. Some condors are more aggressive than others at defending their nesting territories and even some of the areas like outside of the immediate nesting territory. But in general, condors can they do nest far apart from each other, but they can kind of share the same general space, if that makes sense. Um, I'm sorry if I can't remember if there's another part I'm missing.
Well, I appreciate all of your hikes to those nests. I know Joe is pretty immune to poison oak, but I'm certainly not, and I'm sure a lot of the crew has to deal with those unpleasantries a lot and the heat as well. Um,
But
have you?
all those hikes are always so rewarding. I mean, you do go through hell sometimes to get to them. Sketchy cliffs, poison oak, other critters that you run into, but it's just the reward at the end is always amazing. It just makes your jaw drop. The spots these birds pick are just spectacular. I mean, you can't, you know, Darren can attest to, like every time we find, we're always excited, but especially when it's a new nest, because it is pretty exciting because you know they've just picked some awesome spot and you're just waiting to find it, you know. So it's funny in nest season when there's a new nest site, everybody's chomping to get out to it, and everyone's just like, when we going, when we going. So
Mm-hmm.
when the data starts to show that trend, especially for a young new pair, we get excited. So and it's kind of bittersweet when we start getting on some of these hikes. We're like, should we have gone up here? You know, like, but it's always worth it in the end. But yeah, it definitely tests you.
Well, Gordon wants to know if humans disturbing nests has that been a problem in the past, either here or anywhere in the Condor recovery program?
Yeah, you know, I think back in the '80s when the this flock was starting to dwindle. When they 87, there were only 27 left, and those years leading up to that, they definitely were more paranoid, I think, about people being near nests. But what we found is condors will choose a nest based on the activity already there. So if there is some level of human activity around, and a lot of times the humans will be very close and not even know the condors are nesting there. So it's the condors are they nest up so high that unless somebody has a rope, they're not going to actually get to the nest, or be able to be an expert tree climber. And more typically, humans tend to look at the ground. I mean, it's like just something I've noticed as being a behavior guys. And so the condors are always up, and they sneak. They're quiet. They're huge. Obviously, 10-foot wingspan and weighing 25 pounds. You'd think you'd hear them come in, but they come in so quiet, almost like an owl, and can get, especially when they're approaching their nest. They're super stealth. So we haven't had any issues. We haven't had, knock on wood, um, any issues with human disturbance at nest. And again, if there is disturbance there already, the birds have acclimated to it and found a way around it. So, but it's typically very light. Even if there is some activity, they're just above a hiking trail, a popular hiking trail, stuff like that. And again, it's rare anybody actually spots them.
And if you do have one of those nests that's remote, how do you get information on the chicks and maybe the health of the nest and the status, when when the nests are so far that maybe you can't visit them? And I guess, Joe, you and the crew made a decision at some point in the past not to actually do nest entries like you did historically. So now, particularly for those remote nests, how do you get the information that you need?
Yeah, great question. So for these remote nests, we really make an effort to give adult birds, especially adult breeding age females, GPS transmitters to show us where they're going so we can follow them remotely. Get their data downloaded to a computer, see what their flight paths are, where they're going, and there's certain like analyses and things we look for um, to to show like where a nest is, or to determine when a bird is nesting. And so once we've established that, we can look for continued like nesting patterns in the GPS, like seeing a bird continually return to their nest in the GPS data. Like that's a good sign that that a nest is active if like a parent is still like returning on a very regular basis, especially at this stage when we have chicks. Yeah, that the parent is returning, leaving for a few days, or then coming back to feed the chick. It's kind of what we're looking for right now. Like earlier on, we'll look at GPS patterns where a bird is spending a ton of time in one area at their nest when they're incubating an egg. Um, yeah, so for those remote nests, we rely pretty heavily on GPS data, and we'll use radio telemetry still to track where the parents are and when they're at the nest as well. But some of those remote nests, again, we try to get to a vantage point where we can pick up radio signals, but sometimes they're pretty buried back in the wilderness or deep in a canyon, and it's hard to track through radio telemetry. So I'd say GPS data is our best tool for monitoring those remote nests.
Yeah, and to piggyback that, Mike, one thing, the trickiest part about GPS, they're so valuable. Like Darren just nailed it, he described it to a T. The biggest problem we have is they're very expensive.
Mhm.
They're $4,000 each. They pay themselves off very quickly, obviously, because the data we get, and we're able to remote monitor some of these nests that would take days to hike into. Um, and they're just so much more efficient. I mean, they've been a game changer for conservation across the board, not only condors, but they come with a pretty hefty price tag. So back to what we were talking about, Save the Condor Fund, that's really what is so critical right now. When we start having to cut back our budgets, those are the first things we cut. We obviously got to keep the people around, but those are the things that drop off. And that's unfortunate because that means less monitoring, and we don't know if some of these pairs pulled it off or not. And it's just that data is so critical. And again, it just makes us work so much smarter, not harder, and it's, yeah. So that's back to Save the Condor Fund. Those are the things that it allows us to do, that extra funding we get.
Yeah, technology is a wonderful thing, and we've benefited from it increasingly in recent years, and it's one of those things that just is going to be in the discussion as we talk about funding next year and what our challenges are, what our priorities are, and some of those difficult decisions that may be ahead. But yeah, we appreciate that word about the Save the Condor Fund and some of the value of the information that we're getting. I'm going to put both of you on the spot before we sign off, and I'm going to ask, how long have condors been around?
Are you talking fossil record?
Well, yeah, I would say, I was first introduced to condors back in the early 80s when there practically weren't any left, and I thought that they'd be extinct. But apparently they go back a lot further. And any knowledge on how long condors have been in this world?
Yeah, I know. Pleistocene era, we're talking they've been on
Over
the fossil
10,000
record.
years ago, I guess, 12,
Yeah, and what's interesting
15,000.
is if you go back far enough, you realize there were other larger condors around, condor type birds around and different types of, in North America at least, there was tetratorns, or I forgot what it was called. It was twice as big as a California condor, and it died off with the megafauna, I think towards the, before the ice age around there. But yeah, I know they go back a long ways, and you can see why. I mean, they were probably they found a really important niche early on, being nature's cleanup crew, nature's recycler. And I think that role, and really critical why we keep this species around, is they play such a critical role in keeping the ecosystem firing on all cylinders. They keep it cleaned up, and they do a dirty job, but it's one of the most important, when you really think about it. So I think that role has probably served them for millennia, for as long as they've been in existence. It obviously was important then, and it's important now.
Yeah, we seem to lose those iconic species. Let's do what we can to save California condors. And you mentioned birds bigger than condors. Uh, Samantha from Seattle, Washington was asking about the wingspan of the Andean condor, which is even bigger. And we'll just say that wingspan is up to 10 feet, while the California condor is often classified as up to 9.5 feet. So big birds, both. Both are quite
They're formidable.
yeah, yeah, quite formidable. And
Oh,
Russ, thank you for your question. We manage the Central California population, which is still basically disjunct from the Southern California population, which is managed by U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And Darren mentioned last month about symbolically moving a bird from the central flock to the Southern California flock. And those birds are managed by U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. We keep in close contact with them, but we don't really follow birds down to that area. That's U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service territory. Thank you so much to the 145 of you who attended this Zoom chat. Appreciate you staying with us and saying goodbye to July. We look forward to seeing you next month. And Joe, I'll let you close with any announcements you have, including the date for our next Condor chat. Sorry for those whose questions I didn't quite get to. We just ran out of time, but keep them fresh for next time. Joe? Yeah, it
but
is.
yeah, next month will be really exciting. We're gonna we'll have a lot more updates. These chicks are getting closer to fledging, which is always exciting. We're gonna definitely have better images, I think, of some of these nests, some of these young chicks. And again, we'll just get more of the crew back. We'll get Danae and Kara back on the talk. It's always nice to have the rest of the crew join us. They've been working really hard, and yeah, it's always good to have whenever we get the whole team on one of these chats. And again, just thank all of you for all your support. And it goes so far. And obviously joining the chats is one thing, but the support has really been incredible. And again, just thanks to all our partners, our collaborators, to Oakland Zoo this month, doing everything they could for 1019, to Darren being out there picking that bird up. That's always a tough pill to swallow when you're out there. So big shout out to Darren this month, and to you, Mike, for putting up with me and Darren during these chats. So
My favorite part of the month.
yeah. No, just incredible. We love these chats, and we look forward to next month to hanging out with you guys again. And again, just August 28th, we'll see you again, and hopefully we have a lot of exciting updates. And until then, we'll see you around. Thanks for joining, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.